All right, you're asking for it, so here it is.
Epicast.
Listen to this.
I want you fucking laughing at we part of this pod, kid. You understand? We in here drinking, singing, swinging, all that shit, dog. We sweating, getting wet, and all that.
All right. Welcome to the 242nd episode of the Drinking Partners Podcast. This is our Kobe Bryant episode, man. Like, I just caught the news, the tragic helicopter accident. And so we have to, it wouldn't be appropriate not to title this the Kobe Bryant episode, man. Everybody's been able to take something from him, even if you're not a basketball fan, man. Just his dedication, his maniacal dedication to his craft, chasing your dreams. Tomorrow's not promised, man. You never know. So, we won't try to make this episode a solemn one, man. We'll celebrate his life and we'll continue to, take from him, man. You follow your dreams, man. If you into something, if you want to do something, you go out there and you ensure yourself that you'll be the best, man. You make sure that, you know everything about your craft, study, work on your body, take care of yourself, man, because tomorrow is not promised. You know what I mean? I am half of your hosting tandem, Ed Bailey, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host, Dave Bracey. Say what up to the people.
What's good with you people? We are the Drinking Partners, man. Be good to yourself, be good to others, man. If you're looking for us, you can find us at epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, Google Play, and Spotify under Drinking Partners. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod. 242 episodes, man. We've been asking y'all, and we're going to continue to ask you, man. Please hop on iTunes, hop on Facebook, rate and review. That's how we know we're doing well. That's how we let others know that we're doing well. And that's how we continue to do well, man. So please hop on iTunes, hop on Facebook, rate and review.
Listen, you love us. You see us out in public and you tell us that you love us. Now, please, at the click of a button, tell the internet, tell the world, tell everybody, all right? When you run into us, let us know where you seen us, when you seen us before. We ran into, was it Steve Howes last night? He said he was at we did our Epic Night of Comedy out at Compton Theater, and he ran down on me saying, he was at the first one we ever did. What was it, 3 years ago?
Yeah,
three years ago. He was at the first one, and then he didn't come to another one until I died. And then he came back last night. So I told him I'll shout him out. Shout out to Steve Halls. If I'm not saying your name correctly, I told you I would shout you out. It didn't say, I don't know, man. He didn't spell it. It was Hoss or House. I don't know.
House. like the German, a house.
We didn't, look, we working when we out there. So we're gonna do a stop and chat, then we're gonna keep it moving. So I didn't get the phonetical
house
spelling of it or whatever. But if you see us, man,
Boss House.
You know what I'm saying? Say what's up, holla at us. We're approachable. And as always, I've said it 241 times.
Yeah.
241 plus times. I'll say it another time. In lieu of rates and reviews, we do accept shots of Hennessy.
Yeah.
All right. So if you see us, just like Steve saw us, he should have had a little shot of Henny in his pocket. Yeah, I mean, I'd have definitely got your name right there.
Yeah.
You show up with the Henny, dog. You in it.
Memorable. You know what I mean?
And we got what we got coming up here. We got.
Well, shit. February. It's a long man.
Shit.
February. It's a long month, man. A lot of things happening.
This year?
29 days, a leap year. You know what I mean? We working hard. So we got tickets are dropping February 1st. If you it's the freshest festival in America, man. It's the freshest block party in America, man. We bringing it to Allentown this year. We're looking at like 9 stages, 30 artists, 80 breweries, 150 vendors. I mean, it's gonna be insane. If you're looking for tickets, that's freshfestbeerfest.com. They drop at midnight, February 1st. 5,000 people coming to Allentown. We're looking to gentrify responsibly, man. They got a coffee shop, a brewery is being looked at soon come, and that's gentrification. I mean, right around the corner. So, we're trying to fill the streets with Black people who might, want to look at these buildings and these people and invest in both, see some opportunities. So there will be employment opportunities available at the festival, as well as investment opportunities to be looked at, because we're taking it to the streets. This year it's all about equity and action. So Fresh Fest, man, freshfestbeerfest.com. Get those tickets and stay tuned for developments and shit. What we got going on there?
We got February. I gotta look. I'm fucked
15th?
up. I gotta put it together, man.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
This is that's just crazy. But all right, February 18th, every third Saturday, we're at Arcade Comedy
Yeah,
Theater.
Arcade Comedy Theater. arcadecomedytheater.com. We got Tom Musial coming through. Three Rivers Underground Brewing, BYOB, and free craft beer, man. If you're trying to get into it, man, most of these brewers that are interviewing on this podcast, including the ones coming on to the next podcast, man, they came through these home brew clubs. If you want to know where to get the cheapest malts, you want to know how to get your batch right, you invest in maybe a couple $100 in a little kit, join a club, and learn how to do it right. It's a cheap learning process. These are the dudes that'll teach you if you want to get into that big league, and they'll be there pouring some of their wares October. No shit, goddamn, that's October.
February 18th, and then we got the 20th. It's 18th, 25th.
The 29th. No, the 28th.
No, if it's the 18th, 28th. It's got to be the 25th.
Oh, man.
We got to pull it together.
Man,
we got to pull it together, man. I'm sorry. This is the 29th, so it's the 15th and the 29th.
15th, yeah.
February 15th, Arcade Comedy Theater. February 29th. It's strange that we would have it on the 29th. We just happen to have a 29th this year, and we're going to do a show on it. Out at Contra Theater. Once again, every last Saturday, we're out at Contra. BYOB and Ampersand, in addition to free craft beer samples. All right, so Chubb's in the building. They had a great lineup last night. That blueberry yum yum. That blueberry, what was it? Blueberry crummy? Crummy something?
Blueberry crumb cake or blueberry crumble? What I mean, it was like a Berliner Weiss. It was sour, but then it had that like graham cracker that came through with it. It was pretty dope. They had that the mango milkshake. Yeah, it's wild what you say homebrew, but like these dudes, it's basically like it's like the craft of the craft.
Yeah, they should be on shelves. They should be on shelves somewhere.
That's like they in the kitchen whipping up like the personal batches for you. So come through and see what they're doing out there, man. Free craft beer and BYOB. If you maybe you got little gluten free out here, maybe you get a little wine, a little mead, or something like that. So whatever you drinking on, come through with it. We gonna bring some things too, and that's ContraTheater.ticketleap.com.
All right, so we're gonna jump into this episode, man. It's gonna be a celebration of following your dreams. We're gonna pick up the energy, man, because we got a special guest in the building. I think we tried to get you on before and it didn't work out. So this is
she out here busy.
She working.
Busy.
She out here working, man. So we gotta fit in her schedule. And it puts us, getting put on the back, but it humbles you. It humbles you to be like, nah.
You have to,
we're gonna have to table that.
Yeah.
Till it fits in my schedule. But we have the wonderful recording artist Brittney Chanetle in the building. Say what up to the people.
Peace, peace, peace. How y'all doing? What's up?
I love your energy.
Yeah, man.
That energy.
Got to.
You know how to use the mic.
It was like swag and sage all in one. It was all in one package.
Thank you.
So, tell the folks that aren't familiar who you are and how you came to be.
Totally, yeah. So my name's Brittney Chanetle. I'm a hip hop pop artist, visual artist, speaker, activist. Started off as a spoken word poet, but I'm now an artist with one hood. It's where primarily I think a lot of people know me from. And that also has kind of taken my activism off into another level too. But yeah.
Yeah, shout out to One Hood. They did the collab with Apis Me, year one. So shout out to Siri and the folks.
Yeah, for sure.
So what was your introduction to like the music scene? Because you sounds like you have a lot going on, but like with the poetry, there's the writing, and then there's music. Like, so is it more of a writing element that got you into music, or was it a musical element that then you started putting words to?
For real, I think I was always driven to be some sort of musical artist. I didn't necessarily know what genre, but I definitely knew that's what I wanted to do from when I was very, very, very young. I tell this story a lot, but it's one of my favorite stories about my childhood that I actually didn't even really remember until my parents reflected it back to me. But I was, 5, 6, and y'all remember All That?
Yeah.
Yes. So, All That would come on, and my parents would kind of let me have their room and just let me, chill in their room while they were downstairs, watching the movies that, kids shouldn't be
They
watching.
had guns and
You know what I'm saying?
sex.
So
They was down there watching sex.
right. No, for sure. So, you know,
Yeah.
I'd watch all that. And like when that theme song came on, that TLC theme song, you know what I'm saying? I really like just jumped up on the bed and pretended I had a mic in my hand and was just rocking with it, you know? And like they would come up to upstairs to the bathroom and catch me. You know what I mean? Like really, like I thought the edge of the bed was the edge of the stage. You
That's
know?
crazy. That
Yeah.
fucking TLC.
So,
You never really
Yo.
associated with that, but now that I'm hearing it in my head,
Yup.
Yeah, it's like
Right?
yeah, that's huge. It's
Uh-huh.
like I mean, that's like the Roots on you know what I
Yes.
mean, late night. Like it's just one of those.
Yes.
It's just like you'd be like, how the
But I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that you were doing that because I see that a lot in my daughter now, and I kind of encourage that behavior.
Yeah.
She's sophisticated, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
she be rapping and stuff, and I kind of like I try to use it to teach and all that. Like I try to encourage that creativity out of it because you never know what's gonna come of it. I mean, we're so
Absolutely.
focused as parents to be like, yo, get the scholastic in together, but you got to let these young people, man, create. Like you got to let them. She was just painting. I was painting with her earlier.
Yeah.
I have no creative anything outside. I tell jokes. I can't sing. I can't rap. None of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But she be doing that shit. And then she was watching what's this little girl Layla? There's this little. She was watching her
Yeah.
videos. I'm like, I don't know if I can let you watch this or not because
Yeah.
Paul Wall was because when I walked in, it was Paul Wall rapping.
yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute.
Whoa.
Like as soon as you see Paul, yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute.
That's a red
And then
flag.
This little girl, like, I'm lit. I'm like, all right, that's all right. All right. So
but yeah, I think it's super important that parents just let that type of creativity ride out, you know, and that's what my parents did, and you know, it wasn't just with that case, you know, that was all the time. I was always singing and dancing and pretending like things were stages and things were microphones, and you know, but really. Me jumping into the music scene in Pittsburgh was a little difficult for me because, and that's why I started off as a spoken word poet because I didn't really know any producers. Like I grew up outside the city, so I grew up in Oakdale. It's out by the airport. So I went to West Allegheny High School, you know, and
Shout out to Helicons out there. You know what I mean?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, you know, and then when I went to college up at Edinburgh University near Erie. And, you know what I mean? Like, they don't really have, like, they have a music program, but it's like, you know what I mean? Cellos and flutes and shit, which is cool.
Traditional.
But, yeah,
Okay,
but I ain't going to
classical.
find, you know, I'm not going to find, like, a pop or a hip-hop producer really, you know, in that circle. You know what I'm saying? So when I moved back to Pittsburgh, I moved directly into the city from college. I didn't know anyone. So I was, like, kind of, for real, just performing spoken word poetry just to kind of fill the gap between needing to do this creativity, you know, this creative outlet without having the music or the resources to make it what I want it to sound. You know what I'm saying?
So now the spoken word, how much weight do you put on your success musically with the spoken word? Because that seems like,
Yeah.
like if I have a beat, I kind of almost have a crutch a little bit. Like you can see it now with some music where it's like the beat is what draws you to the music, not
Absolutely.
the words or whatever. But with the spoken word, it's just you. Like you just
Yeah.
up there, your words, your sound, your cadence, the feel that you can get off. Like how much do you think that's contributed to the music?
Oh, I think it's contributed greatly. I think, you know, honestly, until you ask that question, I haven't really given it the proper weight that it deserves because a lot of people know me still as a spoken word artist. And I'm like, I don't do that anymore. You know, I mean, someone asked me the other day if they could book me for a spoken word performance. I said, I ain't doing spoken word anymore. You know what I
Can
mean?
you drop a acapella on them real quick?
You know.
No, acapella is the bag, right? I'll do an acapella.
You know what I'm saying? You know, but yeah, so it's you know, it definitely has contributed to my overall success way more than I've given it, you know, the credit for. Because when I started performing, I was talking on like some real shit, you know. It was right around the time of Standing Rock. So I was talking a lot about fracking and water quality and water protection and stuff like that. So that really got a lot of people's attention, I think. A lot of eyes turning towards me and they're like, oh, snap. Like, you know, she's like stepping up to the mic and talking about this shit that no one's talking about, really. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, to a big piece on fracking, that has to be a really good piece for me to be like, damn, I'm in it on it. You know,
Yeah.
what? This is fucked up. I actually know a couple people who are frackers, and it's kind of like a joke that we have. One is like, yo, you can't get paid to fuck up the earth.
Right.
You kind of do
You
get paid
kinda
to
do.
fuck up the earth. I think a lot of them,
Yeah.
they separate that from themselves. But now with the performance piece, because I know like there's this whole Summer Walker thing where I guess they're like, yo, she's a whack performer. Great music,
Yeah.
not as great of a performer. Now with the spoken word, you know, you have that background with performing. Do you see like when you do performances of your music, do you see a little bit of that spoken word coming out as far as
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, like I'm always learning, you know. I'm never one to say that I know everything and I know how to perform the best. And I'm always growing in essence of the way that I perform and how I perform. And I definitely, that crossover into music, I mean, I had to learn a lot quickly. You know, when I first started with the music, I kind of kept the music in the background and I was like very much so performing on top of my lyrics, on top of my recorded lyrics. And kind of like realized like, wait a minute, like I need to get them lyrics out of there and I need to, you know, it's cool to perform over your track, of course, but you need to get them backing vocals out of there, you know? So I had to learn a lot very, very quickly. And all of that learning, basically what I'm trying to say is all that learning really impacted how my growth in my performance, like how fast that went. Because I'm like sitting here learning all this shit while I'm trying to give a good performance. And it's like, whoo, like by the end of a performance, I was just like, where did that even go? Where'd that time even go? You know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean,
so what are your cues though? Like for us as comedians, it's basically, did they laugh or did they not laugh? Now with the music, they could be really into the song, but you could still have a negative critique on your performance. Like, what are your cues with music? Like knowing that, all right, they may already just love this. So.
Totally. You know, and like every crowd is different, you know, and it got brought up to me by one of my good friends. It said like, I had made mention that after a performance, I felt like I did really bad because everyone in the crowd was kind of just like looking up at me like with these blank stares. They weren't like nasty looks. They weren't like petty looks, but people were just like looking up at me and like,
what is fracking?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, like I think I just did really bad. And my friend pointed out that they were like, yo, have you ever been to a concert of like someone big, like whatever, Kendrick, like whoever, and you just took a second to take it in and you're not jumping up and down, you know what I mean? You're not yelling, you're not screaming, you're not singing the song. Like, have you ever had that moment? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a experimental pop artist called Banks. And when I saw her, she was at Stage AE a couple years ago. Like, I mean, her performance was absolutely amazing. I literally just stood there and just was taking it in. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that she was doing bad. It means that like it was like blowing my mind. You know what I mean? I was taking it in. So that helped me a little bit and you know, to think about it that way of that, like just because a crowd isn't like necessarily like, yeah, you know, that like you're not having a bad performance. But, you know, in terms of other cues that I can do, you know, kind of putting that aside, you know, if someone's like making eye contact with me, you know, bobbing their head, I'm like, all right, cool, they're in it. You know what I'm saying? There's definitely different things. I think it depends on the crowd and the venue that you're at.
Yeah, man, definitely not the same in comedy, man, because if they are silent, it is not because they're blown away by your jokes.
Right.
It's all bad.
They are.
Yeah.
I saw somebody live say some shit like that. It's like, oh yeah, you know, they're just absorbing the joke, and it's like, it's not how comedy.
It's not how
yeah, that's different.
Typically, that's not.
If somebody says that's funny, like it probably wasn't that funny,
right?
You know what? In comedy, if they don't laugh, if they applaud, like if you get the applause, then it's like, because you see that a lot with Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, where it's like, yo, that was very, very profound. That was clever. Like not even so much the humor, but just like, damn, yo, that was. I didn't even think of it like that. Like, that make a lot of sense. You get some sort of response. Like, ain't no crickets. Well, there have been crickets in comedy, but you don't get booked there again.
Right.
That's it for your time at that venue.
Totally.
So what is the you know, like what's like the scene like when you're talking about like gigs and venues and like, you know, like what is it, you know, like what's the circuit? I mean, like the Pittsburgh circuit or whatever, and then how do you expand, you know, beyond that?
Totally, yeah. I think you got, you know, I see it as layers, and not as in like layers of like, oh, you're too good to be down here to perform at this place. But I see it as these kind of like stepping stones where you got your basement shows and you got, you like your DIY shows. Some of them are the best ones, Yeah. So like in saying this, I'm not saying that like, oh, now that you're at PPG Paints, you can no longer play I'm not saying it like that. But
you get to choose.
It's
not all basements.
Totally. But I mean, it's a scene. You know what I'm saying? It's a different vibe. It's a scene, it's a different vibe within Pittsburgh, and I'm sure within other cities as well. But you got your basement shows, you got your DIY gigs, and then you got like your small venues, Mr. Roboto and Boom Concepts and stuff like that. And then you got your little bit larger venues, and you're moving into the theaters, Rex Theater, New Hazlet Theater, Mr. Smalls, and then you got your big places where, like PPG Paints and, et cetera, et cetera. So I see it as like, these different kind of circles. And each one is definitely different. You know what I mean? And some of my best shows have been in basements or at Mr. Roboto, and I was just tweeting about this, the punk scene or whatever you want to classify that is. We were just talking a little bit about genres and how genres are so specific now, but whatever. You got your Pittsburgh punk, goth, metal, grunge, whatever you want to call it, and those have been some of the most supportive people of my hip hop and pop music, and it is wild. Like I've been on these multi-genre bills where there's someone who's punk, there's someone who's rock, there's someone who's hip hop, there's someone who's R&B, and like for real, those fans of the punk, goth, rock music have been some of my biggest supporters. You know what I mean?
That's dope. Like a mixed genre, affair or whatever. I don't think that happens enough.
Yeah, I was just trying to think like when I go to concerts, it almost makes a concert sound whack if you just all rap.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a mix of things. That's what with the festival we try to showcase like a mixture of music and not just the same, whatever. And it's like why doesn't that happen? Why don't various like music folk talk in the city? Like why do you believe that is? Like
I mean, my first initial answer is just like clicks. You know what I mean? And like I think it's cliche to say, but clicks. You see it within the hip hop community. There's different cliques. I was just at a show, like I think it was 3 weeks ago now, at it's on the south side, Smiling Moose. Yeah.
Shout out Smiling Moose.
Smiling Moose.
Man, a good night at Smiling Moose.
You know what I'm saying?
They kicked us out. It was too many crickets when the comedians on stage. They kicked us out. They like, nah.
There was a hip hop show there. Shout out to DJ Chevy for, putting that together. And out of all of the hip hop artists that played that night, I didn't know one. And I consider myself pretty like, I'm pretty well versed in the Pittsburgh hip hop community. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I know the majority of folks. And for there to be, I'm going to take a guess. I think there was like 10 performers that night. I didn't know one. What does that tell me? That tells me that I'm hanging in a clique of the Pittsburgh hip hop community. I'm not getting involved in these other areas of hip hop within Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's wild to like see your bubble, like you know what I mean, like to be aware or cognizant of it. Like, oh shit, I'm in a clique. You know what I mean? Because we try to stay out of it. I mean, I just try to stay out of the. I just fuck with a little bit of everybody. But like at the end of the day, I'm in some kind of clique.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You're gonna run with like-minded individuals, people who have similar goals and whatnot, and it's hard to really determine who is quote unquote at fault in that situation because I don't know. These may be newer acts who they if you're a newer act, you kind of gotta reach out. Like it's incumbent upon you to do so. But then if you're an established act too, you gotta reach back as well. Like you can't like sit on your pedestal, especially if you're operating within a local construct. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, you gotta stay relevant. For us, like, we have to know who's coming up on scene. We're booking shows. Like, it can't just be the same 5-6 people on every show each month. We gotta find different people and, you know, locate the talent. Maybe we could break somebody. I mean, maybe we can be that extra push to get somebody to the top. So
No, that's real.
I appreciate the fact that you look at it in that way, though. That's like, yo, damn, like, I'm operating in a bubble as opposed to they ain't reach out to me. Because, you know, a lot of the OGs be like, when you get to that OG status too, it's almost like a badge of honor to feel like you gotta reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta know me. You know what I mean? Like, you walk into a room, you like, all right, he a new guy. Let's see if he know me. Like, I find myself, I ain't even go front. Like, I'll go to a mic and I'll stand in the back and somebody new will do it. And they'll do well or whatever, and they'll start talking to people. I'm like, I wonder if this motherfucker know who I am.
Right.
I'm like, am I that guy now? Like, is that who I've become? Like,
you might get a little cloud. I mean, you might got a little cloud going.
But not
I mean,
just in feeling that way is what I'm saying. Like,
I mean,
it's
dope. But I mean, at the same time, you know, you focus on the past, your ass will be a has what.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, so it's like, you know, it is important to humble and be like, all right, well, if I don't know him, then I gotta do more work. I gotta put the work in, you know, and like, you know, going around the country just, you know, telling folks, like, people are like, well, how do we get black people in breweries? I'm like, have you gone and talked to some? Like, do you go into the communities and like have conversations? Like, you got to sell opportunity just like you sold malt liquor back in the 80s.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, like, you have to, like, if you're in the room, like, you're asking this question in a room full of white people, like, of course, you don't know how to find black people.
Right.
You're still in rooms full of white people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same thing. Like, you know, of course you're not finding, you know, new connections or whatever if you're around. Like, if you're always like in rooms where you're popular, you're probably in the wrong rooms.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to go into rooms where like don't nobody know who the fuck you are, and like you're a little uncomfortable.
Yep.
You know, that's the key to success, I believe, is you know, being uncomfortable. How do you keep yourself like aware of what's going on? Like, where do you find is your source of information?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's, you know, another thing that I had to look at was, you know, especially being involved in One Hood, I'm really surrounded around a certain type of hip hop. You know, I'm surrounded around hip hop that's, you know, I say quote unquote real shit, and that's not to downplay anybody else who's talking about what kind of car they have or whatever, because like, not for real, because like I listen to that shit, and when
this is
you
a
know
time
what I'm
and
saying,
place for it.
You know what I'm saying? I listen to it. So
in the car,
yeah
true.
absolutely, right, in the club,
especially after I got it washed. Like,
right.
Yeah, I mean,
so you know, like, I really like looked at. I'm going to the same 5 venues. I'm going to the same 14 people's shows all the time. I'm collaborating with the same 3 people, you know, and like, that's just what I've been attracted to. You know, it's like really the point that was made earlier of like, you're going to surround yourself by like-minded individuals. But that's also when I was at the show at the Smiling Muse, I was like, yo, like, at least 3 of these people I would be down to collaborate with. At least 3 of them, you know what I'm saying? And like, I'm just so surprised I never heard of these folks, you know what I'm saying? So I get a lot of my information from, you know, like, of course, Facebook events, you know, always get invited to Facebook events. Flyers. I pay attention to flyers. I love flyers.
You brought a flyer, which is dope. I just want all future guests to if you listen to this, bring a flyer, man. Throw it on the table. We'll get some nice pictures of it. The information is all there because you got shit going on that you want the people to know about, man.
Yeah,
like,
this is a showcase of you. Like, this podcast is not about Daya and myself. Like, this at all. Every episode is about someone else, and we just talking to you as like regular people. So bring whatever it is you want, whatever. And I ask all the guests, and I ask you, like, what do you want us to talk about? Just make sure you give us something that you want us to make sure that we mention.
Yes.
We'll talk.
Right.
You're like, what you doing? I don't know what you doing.
Surrounded by beer. That's some swag ass
You know
flyer.
what I'm
And then now it look like the entry to like a nice ass mansion and shit. Like,
the New England beers.
Yo. But yeah, you know, like, I get a lot of my information from flyers. I look when I'm at passing the bus stop or at the bus stop. I look at the flyers. I look at flyers. You know, Level Up always posting all these flyers. Assemble. Like, when I walk down Penn Avenue, I'm looking at everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I get a lot of my information is flyers and Facebook events.
So you may mention you were at the show Smiling Moose and you saw at least 3 individuals that you'd like or you would be willing to collaborate with. Now, what goes into that on your end? So collaboration on our end is basically, do you show up on time for shows? That's basically, are you funny?
Right.
Will you show up in time to perform?
Yeah.
That's as collaborative as we have to be, because I'm not on stage with you now. With music, you know, some people, they send the track or whatever, but my understanding from an outside perspective is it's more of a vibe. Y'all create a vibe together over the beat. Boom, boom. We can kind of piggyback off each other. We can make sure, you know, that song flows appropriately. So what do you take into account when collaborating with someone?
Yeah. So the first thing that I'm looking at is performance. You know, we were just talking about that earlier, and the fact of the matter is like, I can't collaborate with someone who is still performing over their tracks. You know, like if your entire verse is recorded in your backing track and you're rapping on top of that, like I can't collaborate with you, because when we go to perform, are you going to be ready to perform the way that I want to perform? Because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
stop rapping over your own song.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm putting a foot on you motherfuckers neck.
You know, like, I just can't do it. It's not me. So, you know, that's like, honestly, that's the first thing that I look for. If I'm at a show and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to collaborate with that person.
So 7 of y'all was rapping over your track.
100%. Yeah. So, you know, like, you know, I look at that first and foremost. Secondly is, like, for real, actually, are you on time? You know, because if I'm curating a show, or to be real, I hate curating. I really, really hate it. But for my album releases, I do. If I'm curating a show, I need to know that, like, you're going to bring it. And I need to know that you're going to be on time. You're going to be there for sound check. You're going to rehearse. Like, that's another thing is, like, if someone tells me, oh, I never rehearse, I don't know. And like,
you're getting up there with a Wild Child out here, the X Factor. I ain't trying to. That's how you get weird beers. You know what I mean? You just let shit just ferment, and you be like, "What is this?
Right.
I didn't order this."
So, like, there's a level of commitment that, you know, it's my opinion, you know, of what that means, that I need to see to be like, I need to collaborate. And then, the vibe, you know, if people aren't really talking about the things that I would talk about, we're probably not going to make a good song together, you know, because, like, I learned early in my career to, like, not talk about shit that you're not really passionate about or that hasn't really happened in your life.
Like waking up in Bugattis.
Yeah. Like, no, that's a great example. Actually, someone asked me to feature on their track, and they were talking, and literally the line was Lamborghini. It was like, got my Lamborghini and my bitch. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think you listen to my music, because if you listen to my music, you would know.
That's real.
You would know that, like, this isn't even my style. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's weird. And that's another thing is, like, why are you asking people to collaborate? Like, you ain't never even heard their stuff. Like, that is so weird.
I like when motherfuckers, like, book me in and be like, there's going to be a bunch of kids there. I'm like, do you fucking know who Dave Ray? Like, that's not.
What?
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I could do some Utes. I could talk to the Utes.
Right.
You got it's short and sweet. Like,
right.
Can you do 45 in front of, like, 10-year-olds? Like,
Not of my jokes. I can't do 45 minutes of my jokes.
Right.
I can find jokes.
Right.
I can read them. But
listen,
you ain't
I can
me.
bring some storybooks along.
Yo, for real.
You want original material?
Yo.
So, that
They're
is
trying to
wild.
piggyback off the clout, though.
Yes, yeah. It was, and that one was particularly weird because I had posted a picture of my Spotify, like, stream numbers. Mm-hmm. And the thing is like, they're not even crazy stream numbers. Like, you know, like, it's dope that I have 200,000 streams on my last album. Dope. Absolutely.
That sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot, but it ain't enough for me to bring clout to your song.
But if you're only getting 50 streams, that's, you know what I mean? Like, it's levels to this shit. Like,
man, I only get like 11 likes on a picture. And like, I mean, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Well, once it go to double digits.
Yeah, it's 11. I'm like, ooh, that was a that's so fire. That's it. We'll go in the archive.
Yo.
That's gonna hit the 2019 top.
It's gonna be on the highlights.
You're
I'm
true.
I'm dead.
So how do you go about like booking and like choosing your gigs and whatnot?
I
Like,
have
'cause-
to want to do it.
I mean-
That is something I just learned literally last year. Like,
so is it just as simple as wanting? I mean, because are there opportunities that might be attractive that might not, be conducive to say, your career, what you're looking at, or whatever? Like, or is it just? Are you still just like, if I want to do it, I'm gonna do it, and we'll just make it work?
yeah, I mean, like there has to be a benefit to it in some aspect. Like if it's like with my upcoming album, I'm talking a lot about my military experience, and with that, I'm trying to make sure that students know all of the information about joining the military so that they can make a more informed decision. So if a school reached out to me and was like, hey, we can't pay you, but we want you to come and talk to these kids about, your military experience and maybe, spit a couple songs from the album, but like, absolutely, because the benefit is there for me. I'm empowering youth to make a more informed decision about joining the military. So for me, there's a benefit, and for others, there's a benefit. So absolutely, I'm going to take that gig. I see that with everything that I do. And I honestly, like, I learned this recently. I used to take gigs that I just did not want to take. And, it was like, honestly, like my partner was like, yo, don't you have a performance in like 30 minutes? And I was like, yeah. And like, are you going to get ready? I guess.
Yeah.
That is not how I want my artistry to be.
Yeah, you get a 9 to 5 for that.
Yeah.
Sound like you wouldn't book yourself.
What was that?
if you're not ready,
Right.
a half hour before,
Right. I wouldn't
not
book
gonna be on
myself.
time.
So that, yeah, that's real. So, like that was like one of them
Lord
gigs
Hill
where I
method.
shouldn't have, right.
Oh, you got what is it?
Yeah.
The scarcity model or whatever. Like you got to create the need.
Yo.
Fashionably late.
Got to get y'all
Bless.
hype for me to show up.
Yo.
It's a time, and
So-
our clothes got a coordinate.
Cool. Hey. Yeah, so that was one of them gigs that I shouldn't have taken, and I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do it, and that's just more so how I look at things moving forward. So
let's talk about the new album.
Mm-hmm.
Title, release date. I see you got the flyer for it's the release show.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Just run down this information.
yeah, totally. So the album's called The Golden Opportunity, and it is dropping on February 17th, which is President's Day, and the release party is at the Thunderbird in Lawrenceville.
Man,
And-
I heard Thunderbird was
Right?
looking dope in there.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
shit is swanky.
Swanky.
It's swanky.
Yes. So it's at the Thunderbird on February 22nd. I've been telling people all you got to do is remember 222, right place, right time. You know what I'm saying? February 22nd.
222.
222.
222.
I'm playing
shout
that.
out
That's the
to
second
222.
time I've heard this number.
Oh, yeah.
In the past week, so I'm
Yeah.
playing
There
that
it
for
is.
a week straight.
There it is. Right
Give
place,
me a
right
quick
time.
500. I'm gonna take a couple of them $500. I'm gonna take
There it
flies
is.
to the show. It seemed like the rollout was well thought out. It's a golden opportunity. You're talking about your time in the military, informing people. It's on President's Day. It's on a day that motherfuckers don't have to work.
Yeah.
It's 222 and it's black and gold. I
Yes.
mean, it's very
Shout out to the
like,
Black and Gold.
yeah,
You know what I'm
A5 in
saying?
the building.
It is
A5 in the
very well
You know what
thought
I'm saying?
out. Like,
Thank you. So
clearly a wordsmith. Clearly.
a little bit. So yeah, the doors are at 7. Show starts at 8. It is ages 18 plus, but if you're under 18, as long as you got a parent or guardian with you, you can roll in.
Okay, bring the youths. You know what I
bring the
mean? You know what I
youths.
mean?
Bring
if
the
you, If you
youths.
got the youths, say you got some youths, come and bring them.
Bring
you know
them.
what I mean?
They need to hear this stuff. So yeah, the album, it's produced by Remy Vega, and it was co-written. Myself and Treble NLS co-wrote the album. Treble NLS will actually be one of the opening acts too, along with Saeed, and we'll be having support from DJ QRX. So
Oh, y'all sound serious.
yeah, we're serious.
Ain't no mumble rap with that. Ain't no mumble rap with that.
We're serious. So yeah, like the album's about my military experience. When I say that, it's not the good stuff. I there's a lot of heavy subjects on the album. Sexual assault within the military is one. Homophobia within the military, xenophobia within the military, military suicide. So I'm talking about a lot of heavy stuff, but this album was really difficult for me to put together, which is one of the reasons why I brought Treble NLS in to co-write with me, because I started writing these songs or finishing writing these songs, because some of them I started years ago while I was still in. And I started to remember things that I had, kind of put back in my memory, suppressed my memories, and it got really, really emotional. And the album is actually supported by the Advancing Black Arts Grant, in Pittsburgh, from the Pittsburgh Foundation and the Heinz Endowments. And I had to ask them for an extension on the deadline because it just got so emotional and so real that I couldn't even really continue the writing process. I had like this huge story that if I were to spit you one of the stories, it would probably take me 2 hours, to spit the full story from start to finish. And it's like, how do I take that 2-hour story and put it into a 3-minute song? You know what I'm saying? Like, I had so much to say and so many feelings about this issue. And it's like, I need to bring someone else in to kind of help me condense all these feelings and all these things that I need to say. So shout out to Treble NLS for helping me on that. But I'm really excited with this because I feel like I'm finally now moving into a place in my career where I'm going to take this album and perform it. And I would love to tour. I would love to tour on this album, but I'm also pairing this with, I'm a speaker, and I'm kind of pairing this with being a keynote speaker. And I want to talk at high schools and colleges, universities, whatever, workshops, whatever. And I want to start telling people like, this shit is real. And I'll just put this on the table. I was never deployed. So like I went through so much trauma without even being deployed.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's assumed, and like there's a lot of assault and women just being in any ranks in the military, like, it's automatic. They qualify for, services afterwards because that's how terrible it is for women in the military. Like, now, as a man, you have to qualify. Something has had to happen for that. But for women, it's just assumed.
Yep.
I mean, that's how, how terrible it is. Because it's built, it's on hierarchy.
Yes.
So like your whole career is wiped out speaking out on these things.
100%.
So, you like when you see these career, military folks, I have a couple family members, career and going through that for that long and being able to like, and not being able to like speak out, like, it's
they be different, man. Like my my ace is he's gonna do the career military route, and it's just like. He just seems it's like a different vibe with him ever since he's been deployed. He's been on several deployments, and like I'm just like, damn, yo, like you can just tell, you can see it, you can feel it in the conversation. Like, yo, you're not the same.
Nah.
You're not the same guy, and you're not gonna be the same guy that we were in college, running around being crazy. But it's just like your shit went a different way. You know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? And I feel for individuals. What branch of the military?
So I actually joined the Army National Guard, so I could still go to college while I was still serving.
Okay.
And I mean, it's just wild how much is like taken in this lighthearted way. Like, people will laugh about a story that I tell. I'm like, no. Like, let's break this down on a psychology level. Like, this is fucked up. Mm-hmm. And they admit that they break you down to build you back up. And
yeah, that was
what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was a thing that I couldn't. I had real issue with that.
Well,
like I had been broken down so damn much. I was like, that's like this is a no, I'm cool.
Absolutely, and they snatch you up when you're coming out of high school and you're 8. Just turned 18. Some folks are 17 when they join. All they do is need a parent signature, and you're at an age where you don't even know yourself yet.
Nope.
You might be on the beginning track to learning yourself and loving yourself. You might be
7 years.
You know what I'm saying?
Start knowing yourself.
Right.
Oh shit! I'm fucking 37 years old and I'm still trying to figure it
That's
out.
That's what I'm saying. You might be on the beginning track. I'm talking about the
last
first
5
inch.
years been weird.
Yeah, no, for real. I feel that.
And I made other people like.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, look, I don't know what I'm supposed to be teaching you, but you can't steal.
Right.
I know you can't steal.
Yes. You know, so they snatch you up at this age, and before you even get to loving, knowing yourself, however you want to say it, you're immediately just broken down, built back up to what they want.
It's brainwashing.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's very. I mean, even like basic training, and then like late out, like keeping you up early. I mean, going a bit late, and then like keep putting you in dark rooms and making you watch continuous videos over and over again, putting country first, and then like all of those. It's classic.
Yeah,
You know what's
Yeah.
nuts about that? They make hazing illegal.
Yep.
Right? So when you pledge a fraternity or sorority, that shit's illegal.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they use the same
It's the
a lot of the
same shit.
tactics
Same
used in
thing.
hazing are borrowed from military
It's the
tactics.
same thing.
Yeah, I'm saying
Yeah.
they use the same rhetoric of to break you down, build you up.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. But it's for your country. Like the fact that you put in the country first is crazy.
Yeah.
You can have
Before
pride.
your family, that was the thing that always
Look, you
fucked
can
with
have
me.
pride and shit, but let's keep it real.
Right.
Like we're all immigrants.
Right.
Like
Right.
let's keep it funky.
that's
I'm not
why-
trying to get too political.
Yeah, no, I
No,
feel
no,
you. I
no.
just like when they
Fuck.
is it country first, and then like down the line was like family. I was like, but
Right.
I fucks with my people.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
like, the country is built of a bunch of families.
Yeah,
And-
so, like, it's a bunch
Yes.
of family.
Yes.
Like,
And you know what really gets me with all of the injustices that I have experienced within the military is, of course, sexual assault happens outside of the military. It happens in the civilian world. Same thing with homophobia, same thing with xenophobia. Yeah. All that shit happens outside of the military. But the thing about the military is that when you sign up, each branch of service has their set values. And they make you repeat those values over and over and over again. You sing those values, you march to those values. I will never forget the Army values because it's been drilled into my head. I know the acronym, I know what they stand for. And the Army values: leadership, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage.
Sounds a lot like fraternities and sororities.
100%. 100%. And
Church.
so you have those values, right? So if I'm sexually assaulted, you violated 5 out of those 7 values. You know what I'm saying? So this is some bullshit.
But you speaking out on that is endangering maybe the country, and you come last.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
you're taught to, because it's country and then the military and then family and then, you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
like speaking out is like, okay, well, yeah, he might have fucked up that part of it, but at the end of the day, you're a soldier.
He's a
Right.
shooter though.
You know what I mean?
He a good shooter. He got a
like,
good
he
shot.
got, like this. We got to figure out, keep the operation in mind. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like, and again, it's like you're like your autonomy is almost taken away in that situation when you when you put your name on a dotted line or whatever.
Yes.
You're government property
100%.
at that point. So like, these types of things, it's not as simple as like when you're like, at a job.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like just some regular old civilian gig. You'd
Ain't
be
no
like,
2
listen.
weeks notice.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, I mean,
right.
exactly. You
there
can hit
ain't.
up HR and like, look, man, we got a lawsuit coming over here.
Right.
Like, it's like, look, man, like they're shit, and that's if because you're in barracks and you're in these quarters or whatever where like real harm can come to an individual's on these bases, speaking out or whatever. Same thing like in with police officers.
Yeah.
Like you're speaking out, you're putting your life and your family's life in danger in
100%.
those situations, which is why the atmosphere is so hard to change from within, because once you're in it,
You're in it.
You're in it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's
so,
real.
It is a little different there than it is in the the greater private private life.
Yeah.
So what was the most influential factor in getting you to sign that dotted line? Because we all been faced with it coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Like, will I do this? And you can see some of the positives. They're gonna they say they're gonna pay for your education. and shit like that.
Totally. Yeah. I talk a lot about that throughout a lot of the songs on the album.
Okay.
And one of the opening song of the album is called Recruiters. And I talk about how, it's not necessarily directly said in the song, but I was talked to by a Marine recruiter when I was 14. And I come from a military family, but not a military family that is like really like pressuring. They weren't like, you need to join the military, otherwise we're going to disown you. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. But I'm 14. I'm a freshman in high school, and I joined the Marine Corps JROTC program that my high school had, and it became the one thing that I was really, really good at. Like I wasn't. The only sports that I was good at was football, and my parents weren't going to let me play on the boys' team. So I wasn't good at really any sports. I tried sports. I was never good. And in JRTC, I joined. All of a sudden, I excelled. I was at the top of the top of the rankings at the PT. We had like a little shooting team and stuff like that.
You know, gaming is a sport these days. Did you try that?
Yes, I heard that. I've heard about that.
I heard the gaming was a sport. I'm trying to get back. I'm thinking like I might have a little, shot at a league.
I'm really good at
like
Halo, but that's about it.
Shooting shit?
I do video games.
Oh, video games.
Yeah.
Video games or whatever.
Them motherfuckers play all day, man.
All
They
day.
do be all day.
I don't play those shit online.
I'm talking like a senior league. You know what I mean? I feel like we would be
Them
the
motherfuckers
senior.
play all day too.
Yeah.
The senior
they
league,
do.
You ain't
playing
at
all
the
day.
top of the league.
You know what?
You
Actually,
playing all
I feel
day.
like
Yeah.
senior citizens and kids are the two best
smoke and
gamers.
play-
100%.
Yeah, because they have all the time.
Yeah.
Us middle folk be like, yeah, we getting trashed.
Hell
Ain't
yeah.
no way I'm going online playing some 14-year-old in the summertime.
Yeah,
Kicking my ass.
a
On his
14-year-old
mama's
or a
electricity.
64-year-old, like
One or the other.
One or the other is going.
There ain't no in the middle.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if he got good lubed up joints. You know
Oh,
what I
real
mean? Like
shit.
no arthritis, keeping it. You know what I mean?
Hell
Keeping it-
yeah. They're
He probably
taking
do the
turmeric.
little hand thing, keeping shit limber.
They're taking turmeric and ginger, getting the inflammation down.
And all the online games are the ones that they take your soul when you lose. Like you play Call of Duty, you die. That
Right.
sucks.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
you keep dying all quick. And then you play Madden online shit, motherfucker run the score up on you 71-0. You like that? Stay like 8 years old, killing me.
Right,
Fuck that.
right.
I don't play online. I play against the computer. I
No,
play
that's real.
actual
That's
game.
real. But yeah, JRTC was the thing I was good at, and this recruiter snatched me up in the lunchroom and was like, "Hey, why don't you have any food?" And I was like, "Oh, I forgot my lunch money at home." And he ran down the street and got me Subway. And like when you're a freshman in high school, Subway's the shit.
Oh shit!
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, man.
Woo.
As much as I talk shit on Subway, man, I am not going to turn down a good Subway that fucking spicy Italian, and you get it loaded up with all the veggies. Listen, man. You know what I mean? With the
You know what I'm
with the
saying?
cheesy bread on that shit. That cheesy. Listen, it ain't an everyday thing, but I ain't turning down on
Right,
Subway.
right.
Sweet onion chicken teriyaki.
That's the one.
Chopped salad.
That's the one.
Have
Yeah.
them chop the salad. They don't like when you say you want the salad chopped. They be mad.
Yeah.
They gotta get that weird ass tool. And
Yeah, they're not happy. But
Good ass-
that's what
good
it
ass
was.
salad.
That's what it was.
sweet
So,
onion chicken teriyaki.
Yeah.
he ran and got me Subway, and then he gave me like 4.
courted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. He went and got me 4 Marine Corps track uniforms, and they were all different colors, and they were tight. Like they were like, it looked like a Nike track uniform. You know what I mean? And they were tight. So that became my my apparel. That became my go-to outfit almost every day in high school. I was preaching Marine Corps for years, and it was the thing that I was good at. And then all of a sudden, my Marine Corps JRTC instructor was like, "Hey, I don't think you should join the Marines." And I think he knew that it wasn't a good idea. He's like, "I think you should join the Army. You should become an officer." So that's why I went the Army route. And long story short, that college aspect did get me. That's what got me to do Army National Guard instead of just going active duty Army, because they were like, "Well, you can join and you can start your 4-year degree and finish your 4-year degree, and you can still be serving in the military and gaining all the benefits." And I was like, "Shit, why not?" What I mean? That sounds great. Sounds like a great deal.
Yeah, the Marines, man. First one's in, last one's out.
I'm good. I'm good.
I don't know what I love that much.
Right.
I don't know
Right.
if there's a thing in the world I love that much.
You
Right.
gotta love cracking skulls to be in the Marines,
For
man.
real,
like,
though.
like the Marines of all the branches are
Scary.
like by far like the scariest and the most like life changing that I've seen people go through, just because of the nature of the beast. Like the Marines are them motherfuckers ain't to be.
Listen,
Like,
I watched one YouTube video on the Marine Corps training, basic training, and I was good. I said, "No, I'm
Yeah.
good." Because when you do your laundry, everyone, 50 of them, all the recruits stand in front of the washing machine, and they tell you what to pick out of your basket, and you have to pick it out all at the same time. And you have to hover it underneath the washer, and they tell you when to drop it. And if one person drops it out of sync, you have to pick it back up and do it again. It takes them motherfuckers 5 hours to do laundry.
Meanwhile, the Air Force is doing their PT test on bikes. Yeah, I mean, like it's wild.
Force,
it's wild.
From outside
I should have
perspective,
joined
the Air Force is like the one.
Them is,
I should have joined the Air Force.
I heard they get the best deployments. Niggas be going to Italy and shit.
You gotta get high on the ASVAB. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that was the issue. I should have joined the Air Force, but my ASVAB was
Yeah, my ASVAB
was ass.
Yeah, my ASVAB was pretty nice. I was like, yo, give me the shortest PT. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
like, but I should have went Air Force. I might have still been in the motherfucker for that.
Bless.
But yeah, no, I mean that is so. I mean, where do you see this? You know, like what's 2020? I mean, looking like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I see 2020. You know, performing this album and doing a lot of speaking engagements. And ideally, I would really love to get my speaking engagements up in numbers and do it outside of Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go to large high schools. I mean, like, if you look at the Colorado area, all of those high schools have huge JROTC programs. And those are the students that I need to tap into. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I see myself in them. You know, like you're being brainwashed at age 14 at the start. You know, and like those JRTC instructors, they are so inspiring. I mean, like my instructor, I looked up to him. Yeah. So inspiring.
Yeah, it should be like it's predatory. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is that like there is a need for, you know, military and folks to be brought in, things of that nature. But the tactics and like the community that they're reaching out to is more or less the issue. And that, you know, I mean, that, you know,
Absolutely.
like it's not the fact that, you know, folks are interested and want to, you know, follow in the footsteps or even like, you know, find a career and opportunity in the military. It's like, hey, why are you like going after these types of people in these situations on a regular basis? Like, you know, is that for the betterment of society and all of us, or is that, you know, I mean, like, you know, and it's, you know, and I think that's the conversation that needs to be. It's like, you know, the military isn't evil in its, you know, like, you know, existence. It's I'm not gonna say it because I might die, but I'm saying is, you know what I mean? You gotta built to you're built. I mean, like, so here's the thing, right? So I feel like all countries have the right to protect themselves.
Don't go in my rabbit hole, brother.
Yeah, no.
Stay safe.
If you,
I'm targeted now.
I don't know if I've ever been safe.
You've been off the grid though. You kind of off the grid. I'm on paper. They know, like my name is my comedy name is my actual name. Don't fall into what I'm talking about. I don't trust. Like, are these ROTC instructors? Are they vets?
So they're
active.
They're active.
They're active. Like
that's a job.
They're either retired or active. It's one or the other. But my thing is, I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna say this. Why is a recruiter talking to a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old without a parent present?
Which you can't do in any legal, you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? Where's the parents? Where are the parents?
They Central Park 5 of these kids.
Especially when you're talking about like an institution that is wrought with like assault and violence and phobia. I mean, like, you know, so like it's not just like, you know, you're trying to recruit a motherfucker for MIT. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, like it's a little different. You know what I mean? Like you are talking about like changing once you
it's life changing,
like basic training, like once you go through this process, you're going to be fundamentally different.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you're talking about like folks having like more or less unadulterated access to children in this to give them that like option and like, you know, building it up. And it's like, you know, like track suits and, you know, like, and Subway, like you talking about death. We're in the business of death, mass death, like, you know, on an order. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like it's something that should be looked at, and that, you know, the tactics for recruitment should be, you know, definitely changed. And then, I mean, there's all the and then they chew you up and then they spit you out and then they don't give a fuck about you.
Absolutely.
Once they spit you out.
Which is what I'm dealing with right now.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I can't get any assistance right now from the VA. None.
That's fucking
None.
insane.
Like I have there's so many things that occurred to me during training and during, while being in, not even during the training phases, but there's so many things that I have a list and I can't get support, care, healthcare, anything for anything right now. So, I just want these students to be more informed. I'll never tell somebody what to do with their life, because I don't want someone telling me to do, what to do with my life. I'm not out here saying don't join the military. I'm out here saying, hey, these are the things that happened to me. And if someone would have told me these things, I probably wouldn't have joined. If I would have known, I probably wouldn't have joined. You know what I'm saying?
Well, for the folks looking out for the military, here, at least here in Pittsburgh, or if you're around the country, Army Strong Community Center, the one local here is at the McGarry Reserve Center up in Coriopolis. If you're looking for any kind of resources or anything, whether you're just coming into it, you're active, you're a vet, if you're looking for services or whatever, Army Strong Community Center, there's usually one somewhere in your area within a 50-mile radius.
Yeah.
Look them up, look those services up because, after the Vietnam War, all the smarties, that they drafted, they came back and it was like, hey, yo, we are owed this shit.
Right.
And it was a massive movement afterwards. So there's a lot of services or whatever available, but the military makes it very
it's difficult.
hard to, it's
difficult.
I had a
Vietnam.
Especially because I wasn't deployed,
Yeah, that's the thing is that these are services that are guaranteed to everyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they make it hard to, find or even know about. Because it's expensive and they're trying to, cut those costs by any means necessary.
100%. Yeah.
So let's end this on a positive note.
100.
I guess I'll end with a question. So with what you're doing, right? This album, how you position your music, like, do you feel encouraged with the scene now that you can get in contact with your fans directly? Like, it's open to different types of music, like different subject matters, right? Because this isn't a mass popular type of, it's not a pop album at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's such a heavy, concentrated content. Like, it's got a specific demographic of individuals who will probably get into it. Now, the music's good, so anybody can listen to it, but the subject matter is so heavy, like, you got to kind of be invested. You know what I mean? So how do you, from a business standpoint, how do you navigate that? And how encouraged are you about a scene just that you could even put something like this out and it seems to, have some momentum?
Totally. I think like the first and foremost is that I'm passionate about it. And it's stories that I had to tell. You know what I mean? So that's first and foremost. Secondly, there is a lot of veterans and people currently serving who aren't down with the war, who aren't down with the things that have happened to them. You know what I mean? We're looking at 2018, over 20,000 soldiers, military members were sexually assaulted in 2018. So there's a lot of people that can relate to this content. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, people who listened to my last album, A Fire on Venus, that was very much so a pop hip hop crossover album. It was all about love. There was a couple heavy songs on there, but mostly, fun pop. Have fun. The reality of it is like, I don't expect all of those people to listen to this, to the Golden Opportunity and vibe with it. Like just as you might listen to, I don't know, name an artist that you dig.
Right now I've been listening to a lot of Nip.
Okay. So like, just as like, you might really, really vibe, as an example, because I think all of Nip's projects are amazing, but just as you might really, really vibe with one of Nip's first projects and then the newest one, you're like, I ain't feeling it. You still listen to the first project. You know what I'm saying? So in my eyes...
Yeah, so when Kanye drops albums,
no
I just go back to My Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Right.
That's just, every time he drops a new album, I just be like, I'm just going to go back to that.
That's actually a really... Yeah. That's actually a really good example because the only Kanye album that I'll ever listen to is wow, just forgot the name. College Dropout. So that's the only, Kanye album that I'm going to listen to. So, like that's a really good example. But anyway, I try not to get too wrapped up about, am I going to keep this fan base, when I drop this album, are the people still going to be vibing with my shit? Like, there's stories that I have to put out, and there definitely is a business aspect to this. That's why I got a dope flyer. That's why it makes sense. That's why the dates make sense. Why the colors make sense. There's definitely a business aspect to everything.
Very well thought out.
You know what I'm saying? But I have learned literally within the last year that I can't get too wrapped up about is this content going to strike a chord with everybody that it did last time, So
yeah, I'm growing out here. Yeah, I mean, you growing with me is,
growing.
I mean, you growing with me is you growing as you going,
right?
Yeah, I mean, is you growing as you going over here.
You know what I'm saying?
So we growing.
When shit hit the fan, is you still a fan?
Yeah. I mean, if you ain't growing, you got to get going.
Right.
You know what I mean, growing or going.
Right.
What's your favorite form of potato?
God damn it!
Oh.
And he tried to sneak. He stuck that
Yo.
I'm over here looking at that saying you forgot potato.
What's your favorite form of potato?
I was definitely about to go and let the people know where they can find you.
Damn. My favorite form of potato.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause for suspense. Alaka.
Alaka?
AKA potato pancake.
Potato pancake?
Yeah.
Somebody else just said, we just got that on the last. Who else said that?
Yeah.
Said a potato pancake.
But hold up.
What kind of?
Hold up.
Yeah, tell me
Hold up.
tell me about your potato pancake.
Hold
Yeah,
up.
I mean, because you ain't just you just cutting up some
I'm
fries
specific.
and throwing them on there. Yeah, I mean,
Specific.
what's in this potato pancake?
So I like half white potato or Yukon Gold, whatever you want.
Oh, so we getting
You know what I'm saying?
we getting down to the root.
You know what I'm saying? And then half sweet potato with, you got to chop up some onions real finely and throw them in there. That is my perfect.
You get a little butter. You get a little sweet.
Listen.
You get that onion smacking on there.
I'm telling you. And then, depending upon, dietary needs or whatever, you can dip it in that sour cream or that vegan sour cream.
You throw little chives on there along.
Chives. Listen, chives I think are a must when it comes to lock, because I know a lot of people would disagree on me on that. But I love chives. You got.
I don't think a lot of people know what lockers are.
I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody was talking about the
it was
lockers.
one of the-
Somebody just mentioned that.
When was the last time we recorded?
Yeah. Well, there's so many different ways to cook potato pancakes, aka latkes. There's so many ways. Like some people grind the potato, some people shred it. Some people literally just chop. Like they do half chopped, half ground. Like there's so many different ways. But that's my perfect. Form of potato.
Definitely had the most descriptive potato.
Listen,
As meticulous as the album rollout.
Absolutely.
So, you about your shit. You took something from the military. All right? You
I did.
attention to detail.
No, I did.
Attention to
I
detail.
did.
You got
You gotta get them corners right in there.
You dropped that sock.
I did. Yo, God bless. I'm happy I didn't have to do that shit. I would have lost my goddamn mind.
But let the people know where they can find you. Give them the info about the rollout and the album once more.
Yeah. So my name's Brittney Chanetle, Brittney Chantle. You can find me on all music streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, whatever, even on SoundCloud, Bandcamp, everything. I'm on social media as Brittney Chanetle on Instagram. Twitter is at @B_Chanetle. And I also have a website, BrittneyChanetle.com. And next album is The Golden Opportunity, dropping on February 17th, President's Day. And the release party is here in Pittsburgh on February 22nd, 222 at the Thunderbird.
All right, Dave, let the people know where they can find us.
And we are the Drinking Partners. And if you're looking for us, you can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, Google Play, and Spotify under Drinking Partners. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at Partnerspod.
Hey, listen, we want to thank our guest, Brittney Chanetle, for coming through. Make
thank
sure you cop that golden opportunity. It's a golden opportunity to learn something. You know what I mean? And we want to thank you, man. Like, this was heavy but humorous. Like, it was, it had a real meaning, man. And that resonates with you. Just, your shit's real, you know what I'm saying? My shit's real, my shit is raw, my shit is authentic.
Hey.
You can't spell bars without putting that arse in it. Shout out to Arsenal.
Yo,
but yeah,
for
man,
real.
Cop it. Go to the album show, you know what I mean? And as always, Drinking Partners is the crew. Epicast is the family. And we out.
Thank you so much.
Can you get a picture real quick?
Oh, yeah.
No!
Yo, it's a thing that everybody's passionate about, but they don't realize it.
It's true.
Like,
I think so.
We all eat potatoes. We rarely talk about it.
Man, this shit, man.
Wait, what? Oh, no. They said
And one that they just started saying all this shit like, know how to hoop and all that.
An hour and a half ago, they said there was no
Nobody
film.
was on it, yeah.
They said no film.
Epicast.